What's up, folks? How's it going? This is Watch. Hope you guys are all doing well. So on this channel, we reviewed a lot of kind of mid-range to higher end drones. And although the budget-oriented drones certainly have their place, the biggest problem I've always had with them is that they're super unstable in terms of their flight dynamics. And since they're aimed at beginners, a lot of them just end up crashing in and becomes junk instantly. Well, Ryze Robotics teamed up with DJI to bring you this little thing over here. This is the Tello drone. It actually has a lot of technology that comes from a DJI, the world leader in consumer drones. So we're going to take a look at this thing, see what the pros and cons are, and determine whether this thing is the ultimate drone for under $100. Now, when it comes to the size of the Tello, it's super compact, especially without the prop guards. So it's about the size of your average 5.5 inch smartphone, and you can pretty much take it with you anywhere you go, which is awesome. You can also change the cover plate over here to suit your color palette. There's 3 different colors to choose from. Now, one of the most compelling things about the Tello has to be its very stable flight dynamics, and that's because it's using DJI's scaled down version of their vision positioning system. So you have dual cameras as well as IR sensors that senses and captures the patterns on the ground, so that way it doesn't deviate back and forth from both horizontal and vertical plane, and you have very stable flight dynamics even though this thing doesn't have any built-in GPS. In terms of wireless technology, it's only using 802.11n at 2.4 gigahertz to communicate with your smartphone, and that's how you're actually going to take videos and photos off of this unit itself. There's no physical micro SD card built inside. Now, moving on, in terms of the battery life, you're rated at 13 minutes based on the manufacturer's specifications. In real life, depending upon how you're using it, how aggressive you are, it can go up to 8 meters per second, which is actually pretty fast. You're roughing anywhere between 5 to 8 minutes based on my experience, which isn't too bad, and you could buy more of these batteries and they're fairly inexpensive. Now, the primary mode of control for the Tello is going to be the on-screen controls on the smartphone app that's both compatible with iOS and Android. You can use a Bluetooth compatible controller. I had an old drone controller that works with iOS and Android but had no success, and I'm not too sure in terms of which controllers will actually work with the Tello. That's kind of a mystery for me right now. But in terms of the communication distance, it's rated at about 100 meters, so you're limited to that, which isn't a lot, and the 720p live feed actually starts cutting out between 60 to 70 meters, so the range is quite limited. Now, some of the notable features on the app is that once you have a controller that you can use with the Tello, you can actually split up the live feed image into 2 halves. That way you can use one of those FPV goggles for your smartphone and have like a first-person viewing experience, which is cool. And there's also a couple of tricks that the Tello can do. Firstly, you have auto takeoff and landing modes. You can also throw the drone or have it just take off your hand. You can also land the drone on your hand. There's a 360-degree mode as well as a circular/orbit mode. You can even do a couple of neat tricks such as side and front flips. Now, let's talk about the biggest problem with the Tello drone. That definitely has to be the camera quality. It's 720p at 30 FPS, and it can shoot 5 megapixel stills. It doesn't have a gimbal, as you can see, so it uses electronic stabilization, which is pretty decent. Definitely pretty stable looking footage, but it's very unclear. The colors are not accurate at all, and it's definitely not usable for a professional aerial photography production standpoint. So this is definitely not a high-end little device that is going to compete with the bigger flying camera platforms that you're going to find from companies like DJI. Furthermore, you can't change the perspective or angle of the shot. Since there is no gimbal, you can't tilt down to get that bird's eye view effect, and you're always looking kind of straight on, so that's a huge limitation as well. And the field of view is at about 82.6 degrees. Now, to conclude, I would say that the Tello definitely has a lot of things going for it. Definitely a lot of value for $100. Love the form factor, the price point, and the overall hover stability, so it's great as a first-time drone or for a drone for smaller children. Definitely easier to fly indoors as well. The biggest problem definitely has to be the video quality, and the range is pretty limited at around 100 meters. But definitely worth the $100 in my opinion, even with those compromises. Definitely a nice little tool before going out and spending a whole lot of money on a full-fledged proper drone that has a nice camera on it. So definitely something looking into if you guys are interested in perhaps diving into the world of quadcopters or aerial photography without really having too much to lose. So if you have any specific questions, let me know. Check out the description down below for more details about everything we talked about. Thanks again for your support. Give us a like if you like this video, and we'll see you later. Take care.